So, like, I don't know, you guys. Like, it's weird. Okay, so my parents were both stationed in Germany during Desert Storm. They were both in the army. My mother was a linguistics, and my father was infantry. They met in the army, and my mother ended up pregnant with me. Now, the first baby photo I ever seen, I guess, was when my father got home after I was born, but like I was looking like I was at least like 6 months old. So that was like weird. Like how y'all don't have no other photos of me. Okay. I was supposed to be born in Germany, but they told my mom if I was born in Germany, I would have to get citizenship just to come back to the States. But I'm saying if I was born on an army base, why would I would be, you know? So that didn't sit right with me. It was a little weird. Okay, so let's fast forward. Boom. I was born in Texas, okay? On an Air Force base that is now a women's correctional facility. So now, boom, first photo, I looked like I was 3 months, 6 months old. That's weird, right? So then my sisters were born. We moved from state to state a few times. It was cool. Well, I don't really remember. I remember having like this giant pink and white elephant that I used to love, and a spider monkey. I guess that's the only thing I remember from when I lived in Germany before my sisters were born, which is weird because we're only supposed to be like a year, like 18 months apart. So how do I remember a spider monkey at 1 years old? You know, it's weird, right? Okay. So, anyways, I remember the monkey. Da da da. My sisters were born. Okay, cool. So fast forward, I asked my mom. I said, "Mom, what's my blood type?" Because I was like, I don't know my blood type. It's weird for me, you know, because I don't do hospitals. Like I don't. Something's iffy with the hospitals. It's like every time you go to the hospital, they'll tell you something wrong, and then boom, you believe it like the placebo effect, and then doom, you're dead in 6 months, which is fucked. So, anyways, she says, I don't know your blood type. It should be on your birth certificate. So I look at my birth certificate. Of course, it's not there. So I'm like, that's weird, you know? But not really. It's the 90s, I guess. So, but my mom knows my sister's blood types. And I'm like, how do you know you don't know your eldest, like your first child ever? You don't know their blood type, but you know your other kids, like, as a mom, that'd be kind of weird. This is weird for me to put this out on a Mother's Day message, but anyways. So boom, that was weird. Okay, and then my parents split when I was 7. We spent. My father came and got us for one summer because he moved back to South Carolina and we lived in Texas. So he came and got us. We drove all the way to South Carolina, and he really didn't want to hang out with us, like at all. He hung out with us like we were at his apartment for maybe like 2 days, and then he totally like here's your grandparents, you know, go to your grandparents' house. So boom, we spent the rest of the summer with our grandparents. But my father was still in the military at the time, so he had a computer, and my ass, I was like, "Can I play on my computer?" Yeah, sure. But he liked alien shit. I liked alien shit, so I thought that was cool, right? But he found it really weird. He was like, "Oh, you believe in it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think it's cool." And I don't think he liked that very much, which kind of ties into the rest of the story. But anyway, so we went to our grandparents' house, and I remember sleeping one night, and I go to look out the window, and across the street, because they live like kind of in the country on South Carolina, they own their own land or whatever. So I look out the window, and across the street, there was a man standing next to the mailbox. but the man didn't have a head of a man. To me, at night, it looked like an alligator head on top of, like, on a man's body. So, I ducked down because this is not the first time I've seen some weird shit at night, right? So I ducked down, and then I like kind of like peek up, and he was like walking towards the window. So I run in there and I tell my grandparents, I'm like, "Hey, Nana, Papa, there's an alligator man outside the window." And they were old school, They told me, "It's just a dream. Go back to sleep." So when I went back into the room, he was gone. So I was like, okay, weird, but it always stuck. Like, it stuck with me. Okay, so boom. Before that, when we lived with my grandparents for a little while after I was born. I had to have been like 5 or something. So I was going to daycare, and I walk out the door, like the kitchen door, to the driveway or whatever, and I walk down like these brick steps. There's like 4 or 5 of them hoes, and I walk all the way to the car. Well, my mother tells me to turn around and come back inside, and she sounded like I was in trouble, so I was confused. I was like, I thought, So I la-di-da-di-da back into the house. My father walks by with a gun, and he shoots, okay? There was like, I don't even know. It had to have been like a 7-foot, 8-foot, like big ass fucking snake coiled up right next to the steps. And I like literally walked past that house. So I was like, the fuck, I'm surprised I didn't get ate. So that was weird. Okay, then boom. Went to visit. Boom, alligator man. Boom. Come back to Texas, okay? After that, I got one birthday present from my father, and that was it. I've never heard from him again. But he kept in contact with everybody else in the family besides me. He would call my cousins, my aunt, my grandparents. He's even friends with my ex-best friend on Facebook. And you call them and you ask them about me, but you won't call me and ask me about myself. So I'm like, dude, whatever. Fuck you. You wasn't here to begin with. I don't need you. Like, I've grown past that. Like, it is what it is. There's some people who don't even, like, whatever. So anyways, it was like a year and a half ago. There was this, it's called Awaken, okay? It's like a new social metaverse type app or whatever. It's pretty cool. I like it. This dude hits me up on there, and he says he was born the same year, the same day in Germany. So I was like, cool. And he's light-skinned too. It's like every light-skinned person I've met, their parents were stationed in Germany in the 90s. It's so fucking weird. I swear it's a conspiracy. So anyways, I was like, okay, cool. And he's in the army or whatever. He says, yeah, do you have a picture? And I'm like, dude, there's plenty of pictures of me on this app. Have at it. I was like, you can go to my Instagram, grab a picture from there, have at it. Like, it's weird and creepy, Haven't heard from him since, okay? That's just the little weird shit, okay? After that, what is it? I got back into tarot, okay? I used to be in it when I was a kid. A gypsy gave me my first deck, and I was really good at it, like, super good at it, right? But for some reason I stopped. I don't know why I stopped. I guess because the deck got stolen. Life was hard. Okay, so anyways, I get back into it, okay? And I'm watching, I have a few favorite tarot readers on YouTube that I watch. I love them. I do. I love them. Like Niflheim, the angel goddess. That was just a little commercial break. Like, she gives me life. So, anyways, I be watching these tarot readers, okay? And I just like listening to stories and other people's stories. It's like daytime TV type shit, but you just get to listen to it. Like, da 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 da. So, anyways, the same messages kept popping up. And I thought that was weird, you know? Use your discernment type shit. And then, but if the same message just keeps popping up, I'm like, okay, yeah, no, it's something, you know, something's up. But they're telling me, like, I have an inheritance somewhere, and that my father is not my father. So I'm like, okay, that would make sense, since my father, like, despises me, like, so, like, last year, okay, so, okay, yeah, this leading up to it. So he, like, despises me, which is, I don't give a, he didn't want a gay son. Boo fucking who, you know? What's wrong with me? Like, that just shows who you are as a person type shit. So, anyways, I never gave a fuck if anybody cared if I was gay. Like, it's my life. I'm gonna live it the way I want. You could do what you do, but I'm gonna do what I do, and you can't tell me what I'm gonna do with what I do. Period. Point blank. So, okay. So here we go. He called my sister, I want to say the beginning of this year type shit, and he's talking about, does she have, like, she want to invest in some property, but he was like inebriated, so she was inebriated, so she really didn't know. And she was like, so she gets off the phone with him, and she's telling me, and I was like, well, that's cool, because, you know, I want to start my homeless initiative. Like, that's one of my goals in life, is my homeless initiative. And so I text him. Y'all will probably hear this story again. But anyways, I text him, and I tell him, you know, what's up? I'd invest, you know? And he said, there's something I want to talk to you about. What's your number? So I give him my phone numbers, because I have 2 phone numbers, like, the fuck. So I give him both numbers, and I told him he can call. So when he calls, he wants to ask, like, because I told him I plan on, because there's 2 countries. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but basically they run their countries like the way I'm going to run my homeless initiative. And he asked, where do I want to travel when I leave, like, the country? And I'm like, there's a few places I want to go. And then he was like, he's telling me, like, one of the places I want to go is really cold. I don't want to go there. I'm like, dude, the fuck are you? You know, like, who are you to tell me where I do and don't want to go? Like, you know, so I had to shut that shit down real quick. Like, dude. But the first thing he said when he gets on the phone is like, I don't care about all that, you know, that gay stuff. I'm like, I don't care if you cared to begin with. You know, like, I don't give a fuck. The fact that that had to be the first thing that you said when you came on the phone with me, like, clearly you do care, you know? So anyways, he asked me about everybody in the family, you know, after that. And then he was like, well, I'm about to go. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. He was like, hey, send me a picture. So I'm like, the fuck do you need a picture of me for? Probably because every time he tries to take a picture and post it on his Facebook, I report that hoe. So I was like, okay, I'll give you a picture. So I sent him a picture, and he just posted it on his, like, his little story. But he didn't say no caption, no nothing. So I was like, okay, weird. Well, shit started getting weird at work too, so it kind of tied into it. And then I started hearing messages like, someone hired a hitman. And I'm like, what the fuck? Ooh. And I worked with a lot of people who are just now getting out of prison and shit like that. They work at the halfway house. So I'm like, did you, so I'm looking around like, what the fuck? So then my brakes got fucked up. So I'm like, okay, I'm tripping. It just happens, I'm tripping. Then I keep hearing like your identity is stolen. Like, what? Okay. So I go through. My father's gonna put on one of my pictures. Oh, look at my son. No, I don't look nothing like you. In fact, I barely look like my mama. If we really want to get into it, if we put my picture next to both of my parents, I don't look nothing like them. At all. I don't have the same, like, I've never been sick my whole life. Like, if I get sick, I'm over it in like 2 or 3 days, which I thought was like, cool. The only real medical emergency I ever had is when I was little and I busted my head open. But that was like instant karma for me. Like, that's how I knew karma had my back door from the get-go. Okay, like every time like someone did something to me that was hateful or whatever, they would get fucked up. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that shit's real. Every time I did something hateful, I would get fucked up. So I learned from a young age not to be hateful. So anyways, yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Maybe.